You didn't find this video. This video found you. And if you're honest with yourself, you can feel that. Something in your body reacted the moment the title appeared. Not with excitement, not with fear, but with that quiet inner recognition you can't explain. The kind that feels like turning a key in a door you didn't realize was locked. There's a reason this message is reaching you now, and not last week, not last month, not during the years you were begging for answers. It's because your field has entered a highly specific state. A state that only forms 3 days before a major timeline shift. Most people go through life believing change happens slowly, gradually, predictably, but quantum change doesn't behave that way. Quantum change gathers. It condenses. It forms pressure points in your energy long before it erupts into your physical reality. And when your field reaches a critical threshold, when an old identity collapses enough for a new one to take its place, reality begins to reorganize around you with a precision your mind can't track. That's when strange things start happening. Synchronicities increase. Old emotions rise and fall rapidly. You feel unusually sensitive, unusually intuitive, unusually aware of things you can't logically explain. This is the precursor to a quantum breakpoint. The moment the trajectory of your life shifts so sharply that you can look back years from now and pinpoint this exact period as the beginning of everything. And here's the part that's rarely discussed. The field begins preparing you exactly 72 hours before a major shift. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. The quantum field starts adjusting your timeline 3 days before a reality-defining event, because human consciousness needs time to integrate the frequency that will carry the next timeline forward. That's why this video didn't show up sooner. Your system wasn't ready yet. You were still stabilizing emotional residue, still closing cycles you didn't know you had opened, still releasing identities you didn't know you were attached to. But today, the moment your eyes landed on this message, something in the field snapped into alignment. And the universe does not waste precision like that. There's a measurable phenomenon in quantum physics called anticipatory coherence, the state a system enters right before a transition. Heart rate variability changes, neural patterns destabilize, the electromagnetic field of the body becomes more reactive to subtle cues. Spiritually, this feels like the sudden sense that something is shifting, even if you don't know what. Emotionally, it feels like contradiction, moments of heaviness mixed with moments of overwhelming peace. Mentally, it feels like clarity and confusion occupying the same room. You're not misreading these sensations. You're registering the energetic signatures of a new timeline forming. And here's where it gets even deeper. You only see messages like this when your future self has already made the shift. Right now, the version of you that exists on the other side of this change is pulling the present version forward. That pull shows up as intuition, as sudden awareness, as the feeling that you're running out of time without knowing why, as the sense that something is ending, even if nothing dramatic is happening externally. Your future self is the one who brought you here, because it knows how critical these next 72 hours are. You may feel like the timing is uncanny, almost too aligned to dismiss. That's because the quantum field doesn't drop random messages into your path. It responds to frequency, not convenience. It responds to identity, not desire. When a message appears exactly 3 days before a shift, it means your consciousness is being prepared to walk into a reality that was previously inaccessible to you. Think about the moments leading up to today. Something in you has been growing restless. Something feels too small. Something doesn't fit anymore. Your intuition has been whispering to you in ways you can't ignore. You're seeing repeating numbers. You're dreaming more vividly. You're waking up feeling different, even if you can't articulate why. These aren't coincidences. They're markers. Indicators that the old version of you, the version built from survival, patterns, conditioning, and past timelines, is no longer stable. And when an identity loses stability, the universe sends guidance, not in the form of answers, but in the form of alignment. This video is alignment, a signal, a mirror, a threshold. You're entering the window where the fabric of your timeline becomes flexible, moldable, receptive, not fragile, but open. And in the quantum field, openness is everything. It means the old coherence is dissolving. It means the new coherence is taking shape. It means the path forward is no longer theoretical. It's active, live, unfolding beneath your feet. What happens over the next 3 days will not be random. You will be given signs, choices, impulses, moments where you feel pulled toward something unfamiliar. You will feel drawn to actions that the old version of you would have questioned or postponed. Pay attention. These are not coincidences. They are invitations. Because once a timeline begins to shift, your only job is to respond. In the next part, you'll understand exactly why your field becomes volatile 72 hours before a breakthrough, and how to recognize the signals that confirm your life is already beginning to change. The 72 hours before a breakthrough are unlike any other window in your life. Most people don't realize how much changes beneath the surface before anything changes in the physical world. They assume transformation happens at the moment the blessing arrives. The job offer, the message, the opportunity, the call, the breakthrough, the clarity. But in the quantum field, the moment of arrival is the final step, not the first. By the time something shows up physically, your energy has already rearranged itself to match it. Right now, you're in the rearrangement. Your field is shifting faster than your mind can interpret, and that's why everything feels so heightened. You're sensing the before without yet seeing the after. This is the threshold state, the emotional, mental, and energetic turbulence that occurs when your old identity is dissolving and the next one is taking shape. And whether you realize it or not, your system is already communicating with the future timeline that's about to open. Quantum biology has a term for this: pre-adaptation. A system changes before it needs to. Your nervous system begins rewiring. Your heart field becomes more reactive to subtle signals. Your unconscious mind starts shifting your attention toward things you normally overlook. You may feel more sensitive, more intuitive, more introspective, or more easily overwhelmed. This isn't weakness, it's calibration. During pre-adaptation, your old reality becomes slightly more incompatible. Conversations feel heavier. Your past feels distant. Things you once tolerated feel abrasive. People you once clung to feel energetically misaligned. It almost feels like life is pushing you away from what once felt familiar. But this isn't punishment, it's preparation. When the field prepares to deliver something new, it must loosen the places where your energy is still tied to the old timeline. And here's something most people never notice. During these 72 hours, the universe amplifies your emotional contrast, not to test you, not to punish you, but to reveal which version of yourself is still active. Think of it like a frequency scan. Every reaction you have right now, every fear, every instinct, every desire, every pull, every resistance, is information. Your field is showing you what's ready to collapse and what's ready to rise. This is why emotions feel contradictory at this time. You might feel excitement for no reason, followed by sudden grief, confidence followed by doubt, peace followed by confusion. Your mind thinks something is wrong, but what's actually happening is quantum coherence. Two identities overlapping at once. The one you're releasing, and the one that's calling you forward. But here's the most important part. Your reactions within this window influence how quickly your new timeline stabilizes, not because you need to be perfect, but because your alignment accelerates everything. This is why I want you to do something powerful, something active, intentional, and vibrationally significant. Drop a comment saying, "I'm ready for my next timeline," not as superstition, not as blind hope, but as a declaration to your own field that you're aware of the shift happening inside you and that you're participating in it. Your words don't control the universe, but they do create coherence within your identity. They stabilize your frequency. They tell your subconscious, "I'm not resisting this, I'm receiving this." That subtle shift in posture invites the field to accelerate the unfolding of everything you've been aligned with. And make no mistake, you have been aligning. Even on the days you felt lost, even on the days you felt disconnected, even during the periods where nothing made sense. Alignment isn't the absence of struggle, it's the persistence of truth beneath the noise. And the truth is this: the person you used to be is no longer the person you are becoming. That's why you've been feeling so different lately. You might have noticed random memories resurfacing, sudden urges to clean or reorganize, a deep need for solitude, increased dreams or vivid imagery, a craving for simplicity, a sense of being between versions, emotional waves that don't match your circumstances, opportunities appearing and disappearing quickly. All of this is evidence of timeline instability. The good kind. The kind that only happens when the universe is preparing to bring something into your physical reality that doesn't match your old identity. There's also something else that happens in the 72-hour window. Your intuition becomes louder than your logic. Not because the intuition is stronger, but because the logic is losing relevance. It was built for your old timeline. It cannot navigate the new one. Your intuition is the compass that guides you through the transition, because it already understands the path your future self is walking. So pay attention to the subtle things over the next 3 days. The conversations that feel important, the choices that feel weighted, the instinct to move in a direction you wouldn't normally consider. These are micro-alignments. They shape the outcome of the bigger shift that's approaching. You're not waiting for the next chapter. You're inside the doorway of it. And in the next part, you'll understand exactly why your future self is the one pulling you forward, and what that means for the moment your life begins to change. There is a version of you that already crossed the threshold you're approaching now. A version that has already made the decisions, embodied the clarity, received the blessings, and stabilized the life you're preparing to step into. And what you're feeling right now, that strange pull in your chest, the restlessness in your spirit, the subtle pressure behind your intuition, is not imagination. It's contact. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called retrocausality. The future influences the present. It sounds impossible until you realize time doesn't flow in one direction inside the field. Consciousness does. Every coherent version of you exists as a potential state. And when one becomes dominant, it sends information backward into your now. This information arrives as instinct, synchronicity, inner knowing, emotional turbulence, intuitive urges, and moments of clarity you can't justify logically. Your future self is not ahead of you. It's beside you, broadcasting. And the reason you're feeling that broadcast so intensely in this moment is because the future you're converging with has reached stability. It's real now. It's formed. It's vibration, not fantasy. When a timeline stabilizes, your subconscious becomes highly responsive to its frequency. You start feeling drawn toward certain actions for no reason, repelled by others without explanation, and deeply aware that something is shifting even though nothing visible has changed yet. You're not imagining it. You're synchronizing with the version of you who already made it. This is why you've been experiencing contradictions. The desire to rest and the desire to act. The urge to isolate and the urge to expand. The feeling of arriving somewhere even though you're still in the same place. These paradoxes aren't confusion. They're signs of timeline blending. Your system is trying to merge two identities, the one you've known for years and the one that already holds what you've been manifesting. And here's the profound part most people never realize. The future version of you doesn't just attract you, it reorganizes the reality around you. That's why people fall away suddenly. That's why opportunities show up unexpectedly. That's why certain paths close while others open without warning. That's why you feel internally done with things you once felt tied to. It's not random, it's gravitational. Your future self has reached a higher coherence than your present self. And coherence always pulls chaos upward. This is why you've been shedding so much lately. Beliefs, fears, habits, identities, attachments, dreams, relationships, expectations. You're not failing. You're being calibrated. Think of coherence like a tuning fork. When you strike a higher frequency, everything around it begins to adjust. Not because it wants to, but because the laws of vibration require it. Your field is adjusting. Your nervous system is adjusting. Your desires are adjusting. Your boundaries are adjusting. Even your self-image is adjusting. This is why nothing from your past feels fully comfortable anymore. You're not meant to fit into the spaces you've outgrown. You're not meant to resonate with versions of yourself you're no longer carrying. You're not meant to pretend your timeline is the same when your frequency clearly isn't. You're experiencing what mystics call the pull of destiny, but quantum physics describes it simply as resonance convergence. When the frequency of your future becomes stronger than the frequency of your past, the present begins collapsing in its direction. Right now, that's what's happening to you. And over the next 3 days, you're going to witness the first signs of that convergence physically. Not always dramatically, sometimes subtly. A message you weren't expecting. A thought that feels too sharp to ignore. A coincidence so aligned it feels scripted. A decision that feels heavier than usual. A sudden release, a sudden clarity, a sudden knowing. These are the first ripples of the shift. But let's go deeper, because there's something you need to understand before the change arrives. Something essential. Your future self cannot merge with you unless you create space for it. Not physical space, vibrational space, identity space, inner space. You cannot hold the frequency of your next timeline while clinging to the emotional weight of your previous one. This is why the universe has been subtly pushing you to let go. Not forcefully, but undeniably. You've been losing interest in things that don't align. You've been losing patience with dynamics that drain you. You've been losing tolerance for anything that pulls you out of truth. This loss is not decline, it's preparation. Your future self lives in a reality where your nervous system isn't in survival mode, where your intuition isn't filtered through fear, where your dreams aren't limited by old beliefs, where your identity isn't defined by who you needed to be in the past. And the moment you stop gripping the outdated version of yourself, the timeline that belongs to the next version rushes in. That's why the next 72 hours matter. Not because something magical happens at the 72-hour mark, but because you are energetically receptive in a way you rarely are. The doorway is already open. You're already halfway through. Your future self is pulling. The universe is reorganizing. And your only task now is to remain aligned with the version of you who's calling you forward. In the final part, you'll discover the single choice, subtle yet revolutionary, that activates the new reality forming around you and ensures the shift becomes permanent, not temporary. There's something you need to understand before these next 3 days begin unfolding. A timeline shift doesn't happen because the universe chooses you. It happens because you choose yourself, and not in the way people usually imagine. Not through New Year's resolutions, not through declarations of confidence, not through dramatic reinventions. The timeline that is forming around you responds to one thing and one thing only: the identity you stabilize right now. Most people step into their next chapter while still carrying the emotional architecture of their old life. They try to walk into a new reality with old beliefs, old fears, old patterns, old assumptions of what they deserve. And then they wonder why nothing changes, even though they feel like they're trying. But the universe doesn't match desire. It matches identity. It matches the frequency you embody consistently, quietly, almost accidentally. It matches the version of you that shows up in your smallest reactions, not your biggest intentions. This is why these next 3 days matter. Not because something outside you is being decided, but because you are deciding which version of you walks into everything the field has been preparing. Right now, you are standing at a vibrational crossroads. One path leads back into the familiar, not because you want it, but because it's easier for the nervous system to choose the known over the aligned. The other path leads into the unknown, not the chaotic kind, but the truthful kind, where your future self already stands, waiting for you to meet them halfway. Your mind will try to convince you that the familiar is safer. It will try to anchor you back into old patterns because that's what minds do. They protect what already exists. But your intuition, your body, your energy, they're already responding to a frequency your mind hasn't fully processed yet. And over the next 72 hours, life is going to show you exactly which identity you've been unconsciously feeding. You'll notice it in tiny moments. A choice that feels heavier than usual. A conversation that forces honesty. A boundary you suddenly feel ready to set. A hesitation that feels like old fear resurfacing. A pull towards something that feels unreasonably right. Every one of these micro moments is a timeline fork. Subtle but powerful. And what determines the direction of your next chapter is not the choice itself, but the identity behind the choice. If you respond as the version of you who doubts, delays, apologizes, shrinks, or self-protects out of habit, you reconnect yourself to the old frequency. But if you respond as the version of you who trusts, allows, listens, honors, moves, and aligns, even when you don't have all the details, you activate the new one. This is the real secret behind quantum manifestation. Your future doesn't arrive because you ask for it. It arrives because you become the person who can hold it. And your future self, the one who already crossed this threshold, isn't asking you to be perfect. They're asking you to be present. They're asking you to move from truth, not fear. They're asking you to recognize the moments that feel like your old self trying to pull you backward. They're asking you to choose the path that feels like expansion, even when it feels unfamiliar. Your life won't change in 3 days because of an external miracle. It will change because your field is finally stable enough to receive what has been orbiting your energy for months, maybe years. And the moment you embody coherence, even for a breath, the universe responds instantly. Coherence is what collapses timelines. Coherence is what opens the breakthrough. Coherence is what allows everything that belongs to you to actually reach you. These next 3 days are not about waiting. They are about aligning. So choose how you carry yourself. Choose the thoughts you feed. Choose the energy you hold. Choose the version of you who finally knows they're done surviving. Choose the identity that your future self recognizes as their own. When you do, the shift doesn't just begin, it locks in. And once it locks in, your timeline accelerates. Opportunities that were stuck will move. Conversations that couldn't unfold will open. Paths that felt blocked will clear. You will begin to feel a sense of rightness, a sense of being guided, a sense of being pulled by something that feels bigger and quieter and wiser than anything you've followed before. You are not stepping into a new phase of your life. You are stepping into a new version of yourself. And that version was calling you long before this video appeared. That's why you're here. That's why you're hearing this. That's why you feel the truth of it in your body. Your future is already in motion. You are the one who decides how quickly it arrives. If you're ready to stabilize this new identity, not just feel it, but embody it, strengthen it, ground it, and let it become your new baseline, then this is your moment to say yes to the work that aligns your nervous system, your field, your consciousness, and your frequency. Everything you need to close this year with clarity and step into 2026 as your most aligned self is inside the Quantum Rebirth Transformation Guide. This is the ebook I designed to help you release what no longer serves, reset your frequency, and activate the identity that's been quietly waiting to emerge. If this video stirred something in you, the book is your next step. You'll find the link waiting in the pinned comment. If your intuition is nudging you, trust it, not by force, not by fear, but by resonance. Your next reality is already on its way. Meet it.